Okay. Mandalorian Season 3. Let's talk about it. Now, it came out on Wednesday. People have had some time to let it soak in. It's been a little busy for me. I've had wrapping up school, this is the finals week, but now it's time to get my YouTube shit together. So, basically, did you enjoy this finale? Did you feel like this was the season you were hoping for? We'll get to that discussion momentarily. But for now, let's just talk about what was great. It doesn't matter if what era of Star Wars you fanboy about. This was one of the, if not most visually stunning live action sequences of Star Wars that I think we've ever been given. It was insane. It literally was like Clone Wars. It was amazing. Like, it was so good. Now, that being said, let's start dissecting the plot a little bit. I really Now I saw this, some other people were saying this. I really don't like how, for the incredible sacrifice that Paz Vizsla gave, there wasn't any sort of like reaction to his death in like the next one, like where it's like they're just like we gotta pull through, we gotta pull through for Paz, like you know what I mean? Like there was none of that. There was no funeral for him after. Like it just like he died, and yep, that's that. So like, I don't know. That's kind of like the vibe I got from it, at least. Now, we pick up where we left off. Din is able to escape with Grogu, and I like the the droid interaction too with R5. That felt like, it was some R2 stuff, R2 and Anakin in Clone Wars type of a sequence of events. Now, for a second, I thought, so I'm gonna go back to the spies. Now, people were saying the armor was the spy. I was actually also convinced of that. People were saying that Axe Wolves was the spy. I thought that was too obvious, and I'm glad that they didn't do that, because when he was alone in that ship, he totally could have just bailed, but didn't. The other thing is, I also don't think the armor is the spy, because she came back with reinforcements when, if she was, she would have no incentive to. She would just follow whoever's orders she was following. And that points me to my last suspect of who I thought it was the spy and who it still checks out. Dude, I blank her name every time. Oh my gosh. The female night owl that has a weird obsession with Grogu. And like, her character is interesting because when she was first introduced, she had like that robe and people thought she was a Jedi. So I wouldn't be surprised if I think that's like going to be a storyline for season 4, and I'll get back to that momentarily. But in terms of where I think season 4 will go, but I think that's one of the plot points where it's like everyone was kind of looking and waiting for development on that, and there wasn't any, or people read into the title too much and there's not spies on both sides and the fans actually made like a cooler tension, like unironically or non-intentionally. But okay, I was really relieved that the Praetorian guards died, because I think we all know at this point the Mandalorian is going to lead into the sequels, but it felt early and forced, and I just was like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It wasn't. You have to work really hard to make that clusterfuck work in the first place, and if you're working really hard and it still feels forced, it's like with all this extra outside of the actual movies content, it's kind of exhausting. And it's like, I don't want you to tell me the shitty end of a story and try to make it happen. I'd rather you just naturally tell us a really good story that develops organically. So I was glad that didn't happen. Now to talk about Gideon, there's a lot of talk about Gideon right now. People don't know what to think. Now, I am going under the guess that I wish Moff Gideon didn't die, but I think he did. Because people who thought that was a clone, it really doesn't make sense to me. Why wouldn't the clone use its force abilities? And it's also like, have these clones been used before? From the line that Gideon dropped, it made me think no. So it seemed like all that build up to take Grogu and all of that. It's like we've built up to this. I love the his plan where he's like, yeah, there would totally be people in the galaxy that are jealous of not having force sensitivity. 100%. I love his motivations. Check out 1000%. But it just felt like we finally get here. The lines are crossing. It's building up to this point, and then we don't even see them outside of their tanks. Little anticlimactic, in my opinion. It's just like it didn't. I don't know. It's just like it's like if you were to fight Goku, and he goes Super Saiyan, but actually gets his ass kicked more afterward. Like, you know what I mean? It's like what? It's like we got here for that. Like, I don't know. Am I the only one that feels that way? Like I don't know. And if it was a clone, why wasn't he using force abilities? And where would the real Gideon be if he wasn't hiding out on Mandalore the whole time? You know what I mean? Because clearly he was, because the Beskar alloy wasn't from a different faction of Mandalorians, it was from his own armor that he made. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. But I just wish we saw them in action. I wish we saw the clones in action. And the other thing that I was curious about with the Force clones is, what is their incentive to be loyal to a non-Force sensitive leader? They're all stronger than him on their own, let alone banded together. So it really kind of seems like it's going to fail for Gideon in the end, regardless of what happens. Sorry. So like, I don't know. Maybe this is the testing phase before he like tries to make his actual self force sensitive, but doesn't want to make himself like an abomination in the process. He wants to really be sure he can do it first. I don't know, man. He's getting a little older. You know, he doesn't have that much time left. But the other thing is that I wanted to say was, I don't know what that abbreviation is for. This is why I should have recorded this sooner. But does it confirm Galen Merrick? Is that how you say his last name? Starkiller. Holy shit, dude. My brain is not as sharp today. Does this confirm Starkiller? Because if we're saying force-sensitive clones are possible, and the gene splicing it's possible, why wouldn't Starkiller be a thing? Now, my guess is, I think the Bad Batch retroactively makes it impossible since Kamino's gone, but at the same time, it doesn't mean the story just can't be told in a different way. You know what I mean? Like, it might not happen the same way in the games, but there still could be force-sensitive clones like Starkiller. Now, one thing that I absolutely loved was the homage to, hold that thought, the Darksaber. Let's talk about it. What happened? Moff Gideon crushed the Darksaber while in combat with Bo-Katan. Now, whether you say this is a clone or not, the point is that Bo-Katan was defeated. So, once again, she has lost her right to wield and lead with it. Now, I think the reason why the Darksaber had to be destroyed is because nobody had officially won it from Darth Maul. And that's really important because he dies during Star Wars Rebels. And so there's literally no chance for anybody to ever continue the tradition in the right way, which and according to its prophecy or its story is that if you obtain it in the wrong way, you're doomed to have your ambitions not work out for you, essentially. And if you look at Bo-Katan's history with the Darksaber, it lines up fairly well. And that idea being out there, it's almost like they will it into existence because of the superstition. It's surprising what of oh my god, I spit so much right there. It's surprising what a collective like fear or thought of something can do. But I don't think the Kyber crystal is destroyed. I think Grogu is going to make his own version of the Darksaber, essentially, where Tar Vizsla, he was a Mandalorian Jedi. Grogu, former Jedi Temple youngling, apprentice, whatever, and also worked with Luke, and is in the Mandalorian Creed right now. It kind of is like, okay, when is it going to happen? It won't happen for a bit, but it's going to. And I think by getting rid of the Darksaber now, it creates a time, a long enough window where if it were to come back or something like that would come back and it's being wielded by a Force sensitive, the impact, the weight, just the fear behind the blade would be, in my opinion, at its peak, opposed to it coming off its worst time in its, existence, where people are quote unquote worshiping it because it's been taken from a shrine, essentially, not one in combat. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. But moving on, I love the homage to Kanan Jarrus when Grogu is like blocking the explosion. I thought that was beautiful, like perfectly, like really well timed to have like, okay, what are ways where it's like we make Grogu seem really imposing and helpful and strong without making it look goofy. I think they tried their best in the fight with the Praetorian Guards, and I think that's like as much as the best you can do, really, with something like that. I mean, it's a puppet doll that's this size, like this is an age-old problem. There was the same thing with CGI with Yoda and Count Dooku's fight. One wrong move and this shit looks goofy. So it's like a perfect way to like be like, all right, you can't survive this situation without Grogu, and it looks stunning visually. So it's just one of those moments where it's like, and everyone's also thinking about Kanan, so it's like, I don't know, it was a cool moment, or at least I thought it was. Now, to finish up, I think there's going to be a bit of chaos in the right off the time of the Darksaber being gone, and I think that is obviously going to be a season 4 plot point where the Mandalorian is kind of fucking around cleaning up the Outer Rim a bit. Then we have multiple factions being like, hey, Bo-Katan fucked up so bad with the Darksaber and led us into oblivion so many times that it's literally destroyed. Why should we follow her? And then everyone is going to make their case on why we're the Mandalorians you should follow right at a time when they were just all getting together and uniting. Because, I mean, let's face it, man, these boys love to scrap. And it's nothing more fun than scrapping with people who make it worth your while. So, but yeah, I think that's my thoughts. One complaint, one major complaint, and I'll preface it with something I was relieved about. I'll even give it the benefit of the doubt. A lot of people were anticipating the appearance of a Jedi because of the amazing ending that we got in the season 2 finale a couple years ago. I did not want to see that whatsoever, because we had already gotten a really cool Order 66 flashback. It just seemed like they were trying, it would have seemed like they're just trying to recreate the hype they got last time because they hit it on the nose so well. But it's like, just because you hit it on the nose well there doesn't mean you can't do that other ways in other places. But the problem is calling the episode The Return. That is really broad. And when you have something like that that's exciting and somebody that look, people's imagination runs wild really fast. There were people that thought Mace Windu was coming out from the grave in this one with that title. Like, so for that title to warrant IG-11 coming back again, when we already knew that was gonna happen eventually for some fucking stupid reason because nobody can die in Star Wars, and like it's like the whole 90% of the episode had nothing to do with that, and it's not like IG-11's return influenced the climactic of battle with Moff Gideon. No, it didn't. The return was he's gonna be a big policeman now and enforce the law. But it's like, do we need to call the finale episode after that? I don't know. Maybe I'm rambling a wee too much. Maybe I care a little too much. But dude, I don't know. It just seems like this season was like I don't want to say fever dream. I feel like that's like overused. But like it really felt like that, where it's just like we're just like kind of watching, we're doing side quests. We watch a 30-minute episode for 5 minutes of like really good shit. But then like it's like the other 30 minutes we were all just kind of scratching our heads like, all right, let's go. Let's go. Okay. And then it's like we finally get to this awesome like climax, and it's like, I don't know, man, like, and then you end on like a perfectly happy note too. It's like the majority of fans have no idea where this show is going in season 4. Like I listed a couple of things, but those are like subplots. There's no like end scene that like adds tension for the next season where it's like the characters think that have this temporary win where they can just kick back for a fucking second just to breathe, but they don't know behind the scenes it's getting worse. No, there's not even that. It's just like, I don't know, it's so weird. I don't even know how to explain it. It's so weird. I don't know how to feel about it because it was so visually stunning, right? It was such an amazing piece of film. I don't know. I just feel so weird about it. I don't even know how to describe it. I don't even know. So if I maybe have said any points that you were thinking or questions where it's like, or maybe brought up a question where you're like, damn, like, why did they do that? Or I never thought of that. Throw a comment down. I'd love to just like start this discussion because I don't know, man. My mind's been, I don't know if I should feel satisfied, disappointed, or just average. I think I just feel average about it. Like I'm not thrilled. I'm not pissed. I'm not insanely excited either. Like, I don't know. But let me know your thoughts.